All right, we are going, we are live. Or is this Memorex? Is this live or is it Memorex? I'm not way yet. No matter what people say, I'm gonna find real peace of mind for me. Yeah, I'm gonna feel joy today, no matter what gets in my way. Yeah, I'm gonna feel joy anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna feel joy today, no matter what people say. I'm gonna find real peace of mind for me. Hey, Paul, how you doing, my friend? Good to hear from you. It's Paul McCabe, everybody. I'm gonna feel love today, no matter what gets in my way. Yeah, I'm gonna feel love anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna feel love today, no matter what people say. I'm gonna find real peace of mind for me. Oh boy, that's hard work, Paul. I know what you mean, man. Your body is just aching. Man, that's not an easy job, Paul. That's a lot of work. Busting up concrete, moving concrete, anything with concrete is a job, a real job. That's hard manual labor, no question. Connect, let's go like that. Sorry, Paul. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, I had it on the Wi-Fi. It comes in better without the Wi-Fi. Every device works a little bit differently, but this comes in and stays on better. Yeah, my day's going okay. I've had a little bit of a flu, a little bit of a bug thing last couple days, maybe a day or two, but getting over it now, or at least getting on with it. It's good to get some rest every once in a while, but it's also good to keep trying to push on. You know, your body will tell you when it's ready to go, when it's ready to move forward again. So mine's just starting to like whisper in my ear, okay, let's get going. So yeah, it's been the last week was pretty busy. Had a lot of stuff, different kinds of stuff going on over the last week. We did a little bit of a film for a short up in DeRosa. So we're gonna get that edited out, figure everything out with that, and keep moving forward. Just got to keep moving forward. That's the idea behind all of this. Hey, there he is. There's my man. Marsfield Lime, what's up, bro? Everything good with you? I'm gonna feel strong today, no matter what gets in my way. Yeah, I'm gonna feel strong anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna feel strong today, no matter what people say. I'm gonna find real peace of mind for me. Ah. They made you hit that halfway house again, or is this your first? Did they make you hit the halfway house for a probation violation? Did they put you back in? Yeah, we got some new content coming up too on Oh man, man, hate it when that happens, but it's a little bit better, actually quite a lot better than going back to prison, right? So, yeah, you just got to do what you got to do, Marsfield Lime. Just hang in there, buddy. Do what you got to do. You're doing the right things. I mean, you know, look at it as being something that you can work with for your own good. You might need to bone up a little bit. You might need to, oh yeah. As long as you got your coffee and your cell phone, you're good to go. You're rolling now. But yeah, I mean, turn everything into an opportunity that you can take advantage of for you. Like, you know, yeah, books. Can you go out? Can you work? Can you leave? You can get the passes, right? You can get all the passes to go, right? I think you can work. They wouldn't let me work at the halfway house. They were like, every time I went to get a job and, you know, had like those temporary services. Yeah. Hey, DZ. Hey, man. Yeah, I mean, Walmart's okay. I mean, don't they pay like $18 an hour or something? Yeah, I'm working on this little song I'm creating called The Cage, right? They threw me into a concrete cage. They left me there to rot away. They buried me alive. They buried me alive. They had theirs, but they took mine. The punishment never fit the crime. They always said it was a matter of time until they buried me alive. I didn't catch those last comments. Can you guys bring it back again? I want to respond to everything. I was goofing around. But yeah, I mean, let's turn all these things that we often think of as trivial or boring or minute or unnecessary or whatever conditions are put on us. Let's turn it around. Let's try to turn it into something positive, you know, a little more self-discipline, maybe a little more motivation, maybe a little more insight. You know, sometimes you got to go along to get along, because I spent like I really can't play all that well because of the missing finger. I can hit the bar chords a little bit, but you know, I can play a little bit. I can play enough to get by. I got a bunch of my own songs, but yeah, Papillon, great movie too with Dustin Hoffman, right? Great book, great movie. I've read it, I've watched it a couple different times. Now those guys were doing some hard time. I mean, think about it. That was hard time, where you were just sent to these islands, French Guiana or wherever it was, to work off your sentence in the swamps and yellow fever, you know, all kinds of stuff. Oh yeah, yeah. The lead, was it the lead? Was it the blonde-headed kid that they made it with? They would have had to wash off all his tattoos, right? They were just put on like every day he went to the set. He probably had to get those all put on. He was probably tempted just to, yeah, Jax. He was probably tempted just to get them on permanently. He probably did get one or two, but they just go over it probably with makeup or something. Maybe make it look like a prison tattoo. Yeah, it's better being out than being in. Being inside a cage. You know, we did this shoot, and it was me building a replica of a jail cell on a hill. Up on a hill, there were cows meandering all around, like herds of cows, and it was way up in this pasture land, way up in the hills. Beautiful scenery, beautiful panoramic view, right? But here goes me building this cage. And, you know, it's kind of like the theme of the Creed song, My Own Prison. Yeah, no, I do struggle. Hey, John. Yeah, John. Man, can't tell you how good it is to have you on board, man, or at least, you know, have your input. I don't know what you're doing now. You're probably semi-retired, perhaps, but yeah, I mean, you know how it was back then. For me, you were right there. Good deal, cool. I know you were cool out there. I remember you. You used to show up at those executive panel meetings. We had those every 90 day, right? And usually I'd go out there and kick it with the RD. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks. You know, it took me a minute, John, to get myself together. I mean, I wasn't like, I think the reason that I was so like disruptive in the prison context was because I didn't want to become institutionalized. I didn't want to just get used to the same routine. Plus, you know, I was going through a lot of changes. You know, I went through a lot of very deep, you know, changes. Very deep changes emotionally and mentally and physically and everything else. So, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty boring place. So it also gave me something to do. But, yeah, you knew me out there, John. And I had a pretty good rapport with RD Natalie. I don't know. I think he went to Washington sometime after. I'm not sure. I'm not positive. You would know better than I. But I kind of lost touch with him. Yeah, I'm hoping so, John, because, you know, my whole thing now is, you know, I had to put a lot of work in. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. He went with Core Civic, I believe. I think he went with Core Civic. Yeah, he did. Because I saw him, John. In 2015, I was down there with, it was Correctional Corporation of America back then. I was in the Arizona facility. They sent me down there I was being prosecuted on a case out of Tucson, and they sent me down there, and they sent him in from Tennessee, from their headquarters in Tennessee. They sent Mr. Nally in to like talk to me, or try to find out what was going on, because I was raising hell down there too. But it's difficult. It's difficult. Correctional management, I would say, from my perspective, is probably one of the most difficult jobs there is, because you've got a lot of different things to deal with every day, and it's a go to hell business. It's like, there's just a lot going on all the time, and there's just a lot of features and dynamics and functions, that whole thing. A lot of people don't understand it, but I mean, I didn't know that I was actually going to survive. I didn't think, there was a long time when I didn't think that I would survive. I thought that I would just take my own life at some point, because hope was like really distant. And then the ADX litigation gave me a little bit of a boost, gave me a little bit of encouragement. And then when they built the units behind as part of the ADX settlement, then I was able to get into those units. And the units are, the one I went into, Stages, at the USP in Florence, that was, a personal growth and development type program. So what I had been doing before then and what I was able to do then really helped me to get my act together a little bit, at least, to the extent that I began to see things in a new light, saw how foolish I'd been, found that being in jail wasn't cool at all, being a criminal wasn't cool. I mean, what more can I say? I put together this program now. It's called the Manual Program for Personal Growth. We got a new one, a new cover on it. But this is the little program that I used to do at ADX my last years there, and continue all the way to every day. Every day. I do the instruction before I even get out of bed. The instruction is read to me on the phone. So it's something that I want to promote, because my whole view of this thing, not my whole view, but a big part of my view is that the best way for people to involve themselves in criminal justice reform, in my view, the best way, is to stay clear of exposing yourself to arrest and imprisonment. And the way that people can do that is to stop chasing these dreams, stop chasing these delusional visions. They might not be completely delusional, but for many people they are. We're not all going to be rich living on an island somewhere or being the most popular people in the United States. We're not all going to be successful. We're not all going to have fat stacks or giant bank accounts or, the kind of homes and businesses that we want. It's just a fact. So we've got to come down to a level where we're comfortable in our own skin, being who we are, but I think just becoming better versions of ourselves through the process of personal growth and development, which is just another word for character building. But that's where it really all comes together, I think. So that's what I'm promoting. Yeah, John, if you're going to get one, get this one. ADX Supermax, the Alcatraz of the Rockies. It's on Amazon, Jack Powers. But there's, the first one of this trilogy, that's the main one. But the first one is Pacing the Cage. And then the third one of that trilogy is Lock and Key. But ADX Supermax is probably the better one out of all of those. And then I've got another one somewhere. It's called American Justice Correcting Its Flaws. So that's just my personal take and perception and philosophy on, how to change the criminal justice system so that it's, so that it works better overall. But I'm sure that you guys have ideas about all that as well. I'm sure you do, John, for sure. You do. And, I'd really like to hear those too, because I'm always open to listening to, new ideas or better ideas or improvements on, things that I've been thinking about. Yeah, you gotta, you can't just you can't just say that, you can't just say that it's, I did this myself for a long time. I said, hey, it's everybody else. It's the cops, it's the investigators, it's these people who testified against me, it's this judge, it's these witnesses, it's, the appeals court, everything's just, against me. It's all crooked, they're all corrupt, they're all unfair. And yeah, I had to get out of that mode of thinking, because what it came down to for me, there's a couple of events that happened that kind of woke me up a little bit. And what it came down to for me was just recognizing that at the end of the day, I had to be responsible for my own thoughts, my own emotion, my own behavior. I had to take full responsibility. I couldn't point at somebody else and say, it's their fault, or this one's fault, or it's because of this or because of that. As a man, I just had to bone up and say, yeah, this is my responsibility. I put myself here. I did this to me. And not only did I do this to me, but I did it to my loved ones as well. I did it to my family, my friends. And, it's not a good feeling, but if you just leave yourself there, then I think you're just lost. You're just lost in this place of guilt or remorse where you really don't want to be. You can't really, you don't want to be there. So you've got to have some kind of a remedy. And the remedy is just building a better you, becoming a better human being by way of personal growth and development. You just develop those characteristics. Yeah, very hard pill to swallow. Very hard, extremely hard, because you really have to look at yourself. You have to be totally honest with yourself. And a lot of us at first, when we're in that mindset, that criminal mindset, we're justifying all our actions. We're telling ourselves this story, and it's simply not true. And we're looking at ourselves as being something that we're really not. We're not heroes. We're not the good guy. We're not, the gangsters that we think we are. We're not, we're all just human beings. The way I look at it, we're all here on this planet. Nobody's really any better or any worse than anybody else. And we're all equal in that we're here on this planet and that we live human lives here, and that we kind of got to get along together. We got to find a way, and that's what the civilization is all about. It's a process of cultivating human beings so that we can become our full or fully realized in our attributes, in our values, in our capabilities, the skills, the qualities of our hearts and minds. There's a lot there. There's a lot in all of us that's yet to be realized, that's yet to be grown. But it's hard for that to happen just in the wild, so to speak. There has to be a curriculum, there has to be a process, a discipline. And so that's why I gravitated toward yoga. And, you know, you probably remember, John, you remember how I promoted certain concepts or certain practices, and particularly, you know, the meditation. I call it yoga meditation. I mean, it's all just meditation. It's all just, you know, quieting your body, just whether you're putting it into a certain position, whether you're just sitting in a chair upright and just using diaphragmatic breathing, just regulating your breath and just calming your mind and putting your attention on the flow of the breath and just relaxing and not thinking of anything, just following the breath, and let this conscious thought, this beta thought that's on the surface of our mind just be to the side, right? Because I found that in that space, in that vacuum, my own awareness expands. Yeah, Paul, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just a few breaths, 5 or 6 or 7, just a couple of minutes a day, it all helps dramatically. Just, it helps to give us more understanding of what we're made of and what the possibilities are, what the opportunities are. And I think every human being on the face of this earth has opportunity to grow and develop from within the core, the psyche, the soul, whatever you want to call it. We all have the capability to grow stronger. Yeah, absolutely, Paul, absolutely. I really recommend it to anybody. And, you know, it doesn't matter what religion, what title or label you put on the practice, because way back in the day, the earliest Christians did practice what they call pure prayer, which is just another word for meditation. It was also called orison. I mean, oh no, but I've heard of it. Yeah, I've heard of it. I'd like to do that. Yeah, that immersion tank. I think it's salt water, and I think it's just like you just float in there, sit in there, and, you know, you're in a isolated container. But yeah, I mean, you can do it like anywhere at any time. It's just a matter of remembering and then to actually do it. It's not like you get hungry, you make a sandwich, right? Your teeth start feeling icky and you go brush them. You got to take a piss, you go to the bathroom. But there's no real physical urge to engage in meditation. So it's just a matter of, you have to have something, some kind of other urge, some kind of other distinction to draw your attention to, the practice. And you know, it's good just to set a regular time of the day and do it. Yeah, yeah. I know Warden Wiley went to work in Colorado. I think didn't he resign? Didn't he just walk out of his office and leave everything and just walk off or something? I know he went to work. I saw something about him going to work with the juveniles for the state of Colorado, and his hair was all like, he grew it like a long afro type hairstyle. But yeah, I mean, a couple of the wardens I think most of the wardens that were there were well, who was the other guy? The tall guy with black hair. Was it? He might have got there after you left, but yeah, I mean, you know, I guess the warden is more or less just a figurehead. But I know Wiley used to say, he used to tell me, the RD doesn't run this place. Central office doesn't run this place. He said, I run this place. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that the warden of the ADX is also the compound warden. Is he the warden over all the other institutions as well, like the top warden? That's what I thought. Yeah. So, yeah, he was adamant about running the place. You know, Paul, I never saw or heard of drugs being smuggled into the ADX, but I'm sure that they probably were by someone at some point in time. I can't help but think that there wasn't something going on with someone somewhere, but I was well out of that loop. So, you know, I wasn't a drug user, or I wasn't in that loop. You know, guys would, they would transfer out. John can tell us, yeah. I mean, they're the ones that appoint them for sure. They get appointed probably from Central with advice and consent of the RD. But John, do you know if drugs were ever found, or if they were regularly smuggled into the ADX? Because guys go out to court, you know, you don't know what the setup is at the county jail they go to, or whatever facility. They could be anywhere, and you know, they could bring them back in. It wouldn't be, I'm certain that it's happened, probably multiple times, but I was just never in that loop myself, so I had no actual experience. Yeah, that's what I think too. Yeah, I think maybe you might get a little something back when they had, like, would deliver your mail. I think now they make photocopies of everything and deliver that, pictures and everything. So, you know, you couldn't have it like embedded in the paper or anything. But back when I was there, yeah, you got your regular mail. So, you know, they certainly couldn't test or detect everything. There was probably some stuff getting in. You know as well as I do that fellas they have nothing but time on their hands to think things over, nothing but time, and to figure out some kind of a way And they do. But I don't think it was a big thing out there. I don't think it was rampant. I don't think there was a lot of it. And what there was probably just individual cases. Yeah, I know Leavenworth. Leavenworth was lit up with drugs when I was there. The early 90s. Oh boy. Yeah. I mean, you had a lot going on there. Did it cause problems? Yeah, I think it did, but I think mostly what you were talking about there was heroin and marijuana. Yeah, good point, Marsfield. Now, with the K2, with the spice and all that stuff, man, these guys are I mean, that synthetic junk is taking people to new extremes. And I think that's where a lot of this violence is coming in. And a lot of these, you're getting a lot of overdoses on it. Yep. Emma is my warden. Emma runs my life now. She's been okay though. She's been really cool. Yeah. I have to, she teaches me things. She shows me things. And it's in a nonverbal context, so yeah. You guys know. There it is. And she punks me too. She's looking at me right now. She's trying to figure out a way that she can get out my lap in place of this guitar. She wants to get up my lap and then, make me rub her head or rub her belly, and here she comes. Come here, Em. I'm going to show you. I'm going to introduce you. Come on. There she is. Hello, everybody. Yeah, this is my little baby now. I got two, my wife and Emma. So, yeah, it's different, living with girls. A lot different. Yeah, she's just, I think she's a Maltipoo or a Yorkie poo. We got her, my wife got her, this girl put her up on one of these community posts and had her in a cage and had her in this apartment, and then I guess somebody complained they weren't supposed to have pets. So there's Henry. Hey, Henry. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, good to see you, man. We're having a good discussion here. Emma's here joining in. I'm just telling everybody about little Emma and how she came to be with us. But my wife got her, and we're glad to see you here, Henry, for sure. Diggity dank! Diggity dank! You made it, bro. You made it. But yeah, she got her and brought her home, and she was really standoffish. She was just barking her head off, wouldn't let anybody near her. I had to reach in her cage and let her bite me a few times. Oh, yeah, you got your little man going, Henry. Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it, Marsfield. That's She is the best therapy, really. She really is. She just, you know, she just all that. But I'm so glad that we have her in our lives. It's a real blessing. But yeah, she's really cool. Really cool. She's just looking to play the ankles a little bit when she can. Nick! Yeah, I know, Henry. Hi, Nick. Yeah, every day, right? Every day, the little guy's standing there waiting for Dad to come home. And yeah, that's got to be the best feeling in the world. It's got to be. It's got to be. Man, yeah. It's got to be a great feeling, Henry. Yep. No matter what you got to put in, no matter how you got to suck it up from time to time, no matter what you got to do, you know, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. You know, if it's worth it to you, it's worth it. And the way to make it worth it to you is just to realize, you know, if people just realize basic human values, just basic human values, just, you know, whether you want to call them human rights, whether you want to call them, you know, attributes or characteristics or dynamics or qualities or skills or whatever, these all reside in the depths of who we are. And, you know, well, that's a good question, Nick. You know, I'll tell you guys, when I was at Lewisburg, no, where was I? Was it Lewisburg? Yeah, Lewisburg. Lewisburg basement was filled with mice, right? They would come out at night. So you have a little hump inside the cell, like the cell is tiled in the old basement. And yeah, for sure, Henry, for sure, for sure. So they had to come up over that hump to get into the cell, usually. I was in cells where they would come out the bottom of the toilet and stuff underneath. But I would put a bag, a paper bag on the floor, throw a couple green beans in there, and I would just let it lie flat, right? And they'd go in there, you know, not two at a time, just one. And you hear the bag rattle a little bit, and then I just pounce down on the top, on the front of it, right? And then I just take the bag and I immediately drop them into the toilet. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of incidentals with all that, right? But I would drop them in the toilet, and that cold water would kind of shock them, and they'd try to jump out. They'd swim around a little bit. I'd let them get totally exhausted, almost to the point of drowning. And then I'd fluff up some toilet paper. And yeah, some of the old USPs are infested. Yep. And I'd take them out by the tail and put them on that toilet paper and get them nice and warm and rub them and bring them back around and give them a little bit to eat, because they'll eat right away. And then usually they'd be tame after that. Usually they wouldn't, they'd like consider me to be their friend after that. So yeah, I mean, I had birds at one time. I had this little sparrow that an officer had stepped on and broken its wing, and he brought it to me in the stages unit. We called him Little Mike, and his wing got better, and then he'd fly around the unit and stuff. He was cool. All right, John. I hope to see you again, man. Thank you, John. Come back again when you can. But yeah, little Mike was cool. Then I had hey, there's Richard. Hey, Richard. All right, thanks, man. Thanks for showing up, brother. Hey, Thomas. Yeah, those work schedules, man. You got to do what you got to do, Thomas. I mean, it's like, you know, you got to keep things rolling, right? But I kind of thought that this time right here, even if some of you guys have to catch it later or can only catch it for a few minutes, I thought it was like maybe one of the better times and slots to get in here, because I really enjoy doing this. I really enjoy having this conversation with you folks, with you brothers, and I suppose there's a couple of sisters out there too. But yeah, I really enjoy this, and I think it's very productive, and I'm just going to do it every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. No, Paul, don't sweat it. Don't sweat it, brother. Yeah, cool, Thomas. Cool. Glad to have you on board, brother. For real. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. We're just hanging out, kicking it, talking about this and that. I wanted to read this one little article, though. Yeah, these discussions have gotten better and better, I think, as we've moved along. I don't know. I kind of wanted to get a little bit of feedback on this article that was written by the NIJ, the National Institute of Justice. I'm just going to summarize it. Yeah, funny but true. Funny but true. But it's about county jails and, the challenges that are faced in these county jails. Because I'll tell you, a lot of the county jails, country, where's country at? A lot of these county jails are dangerous places. They're really, at least from the ones I've been in, they were pretty live. Yeah, I'm hoping so, that's for sure. I'm hoping that it helps everybody in some way, because I know it helps me. Country, how you doing, brother? Yeah, I know you're busy these days. Man, Chad did really good with that episode they did on the guy that, facing the 30 years for the weapons charge and everything. I thought that was one of the best formats, one of the best, heaviest hitting. I think he got like 4,500 views in like a day or something. So that was a good hit right there for Chad. I know he's busy as he can be. Yeah, Chad, man. Chad's doing good. Chad's doing great. Really, I'm really glad to see guys that, excuse me, got this little bit of a flu or cold or something, but I'm glad to see guys that have had this experience of, going through the mill and have gotten themselves together and are out and trying to do something good with their lives. Oh, I didn't see that, Richard. I'm going to have to take a look. Yeah, I'm going to have to take a look at that. I know the sister of a friend of mine over there in upstate, she just got done doing like 11 years in the state. And, vehicular homicide and, I don't know what all the facts were, but she's having a real struggle just keeping it together. Oh, yeah. They just had a big thing about that. I think Connecticut, right? Danbury or something. I know one of the directors, what was her name? She was a doctor at Stages. She went over there. Well, everything was up in the air about my release. It was like in 2017, I got a sentence reduction under a Supreme Court case that knocked my armed career criminal sentence out of the box. So I went back to get sentenced for that. And the judge, he could have given me concurrent sentence easily enough, right? Considering, but he gave me like a guideline sentence and it was still consecutive. So I still had to walk that one off. And then I was fortunate to get a reduction under a couple reductions under the 2018 First Step Act. I got one under the Compassionate Release Program, and then I got one just on the back good time that was owed. But they did make me do 5.5 months more than what my actual sentence was. So that kind of sucked. And I don't know if there's any real recourse. I mean, there is, but you got to jump through so many hoops. And you got to have, you got to have real lawyers on that stuff. You've got to, it's just difficult to find all that stuff. But I definitely wouldn't mind putting the case together. Yeah, that's a little bit of a tune that I've been working on for a little bit. There's some lyrics that go with it too. But yeah, it's excuse me. It's all relative at this point. I mean, as long as we're all headed in the right direction, small steps, you're going to get knocked down a time or two every once in a while. It's just the way it goes. You take a couple of steps forward, get knocked back one or a half or whatever, maybe both steps, maybe three, but you just got to keep on keeping on. But usually I just take a little break when I get knocked back a little bit. I figure I might have been going too fast, so I just take a little bit of a break. But yeah, it's all good, man. It's a little bit, I think it's a little bit hard to program for this kind of I mean, I don't see like, the space is being filled by a lot of different people already. Like what happens in the prisons, what goes on there. I think Chad's show is certainly way up there. I don't know what the ranking is, but his is pretty high up there now. And I think he does a lot of coverage there. So, I'm not trying to recover what's already been covered or what have you. I'm just trying to find some kind of a decent ground. And I like these lives. I like it. I like the conversations and everything that comes out of it. So, and then I've got the membership channel where I just, I continue to tell my story in little chronicles. So, yeah. I mean, that little clause in the in Title 18, United States Code 3581C1A, they put a little bit of a clause in there, and it simply stated that you didn't necessarily have to exhaust your administrative remedies. It put a timeline on the answer from the Bureau of Prisons. And so that allowed a lot of people to get in there. And then Elpo Martinez. I'm just so terrible with names, Paul. Really bad. No. I played a little bit. When I first went in, I played just a tiny little bit, just basic chords, just maybe 5. I did have a chance a couple of times to have a guitar. Oh, okay, Paul. Yeah, I think that's right. But yeah, I had a little bit of time. I did practice a little bit, so I was able to learn and play a little bit while I was in. But every time I got my hands on a guitar, it seemed like they would come and get it. Like when I was in the stages unit, they had guitars on the unit. It was part of the, programming. And the doctors and the staff at first had no problem with people taking the guitars themselves or, playing out in the unit or whatever. You could even go in one of the side rooms and play if you wanted to. Wasn't a big deal. Nobody was tripping on it. But then later on, they took them. They came and confiscated them in a shakedown because I guess somebody took one of the strings off one of them and tried to make a tattoo gun or something, or did make one, or they were afraid they would make one or something like that. I don't know. That was their excuse. So they just took them. They confiscated them and they were gone. And, that happened on another occasion too in the past. But I had a little bit, but I've gotten a lot more practice since I've been out. And I'm hoping to put this little road show together where, called The Cage. I'm going to build this cage. It's going to be aluminum, lightweight. The sections will just fit together, just bolt together, whatever, clamp together. And then I'll just put on a little presentation. I'll read from some of my books. I'll just do a little dissertation, and I'll play some of my songs. Yeah, that's true too. Hey, we just had a thing. I set up, we were at this little public area, right, where the shoot was going. We were staying in a motel, and we went out to this little park, and we're sitting there on this little pavilion. It's about 8 at night, and I plug in the amp, and I'm just practicing some of my songs a little bit. And yeah, it'd be sick. I gotta learn how. I gotta learn how to do that. I think I could though, Diggity. I think I could. But I'm just playing a couple of my little songs, and this guy comes out. He's got this big German Shepherd off the leash. He walks behind us. It's dark. And he says, "Hey, you're making a lot of noise out here." He said, "There's a big Mexican fella lives right across from me over there in those apartments. And he's one mean son of a bitch, I'm telling you. He's on his way out here right now. He's putting on his shoes. And he's on his way. He's got kids that are trying to sleep. And he's mad as hell." I said, "Well, what are you doing out here?" He said, "I could hear him yelling from across where I live. And I decided to come out here and tell you first." He said, "Just don't look him in the eye. Whatever you do, just don't look him in the eye." And I'm like, "Really?" I said, "It's 8 o'clock, man. This is a park. It's a public space. I mean, I'm not being that loud." So yeah, he went on with this rant like he's a Navy SEAL and he's this and he's that. And I finally said, "Look, man, it's just you, right? You're probably over there just trying to get some sleep or just hanging out, and you heard this noise and bothered you for some reason. You decided to come out and say what you said." So I just packed up, he left. But I just went ahead and packed up and stepped off, I have to avoid confrontations. I like to do it anyway. But yeah, I just sort of have to. But yeah, guys, I'm going to have to get going over my time here. And yeah, we've had a good solid hour here. So when we meet again next Tuesday, we'll have a good time again. I'll play a couple of full songs for you. I'll have a couple. I've got songs that I can play, but yeah, we'll talk about some of these county jail issues next week and get into some of the prison issues as well. But yeah, appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming. Hope all is well with you and your loved ones. And I give you great respect and love and wish you great peace in your hearts and minds. Have a great week, Paul. Appreciate you guys. Have a great week, everybody. I'm out.